With your latest news, I'm April Cummings. The Cayman Islands currently has one asymptomatic case of COVID-19. The latest test results show no new positives in the batch of 335 test results in since our last report yesterday. 65% of the population is now fully vaccinated, 69% with at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The Premier makes another appeal to unvaccinated residents to get the COVID-19 vaccine as the pact government faces the challenge of reopening Cayman's borders to international travelers.
Since taking office, we have turned much of our attention to the COVID-related regulations we inherited from the previous administration. Now, Mr. Speaker, we have a plan to reopen our borders, but nothing we come up with will work safely unless everyone in the Cayman Islands who is capable of taking the COVID vaccine takes it.
The Honourable Wayne Panton reminded MPs in the House during his contribution to the strategic policy statement that the goal is 80% of the estimated population of 71,000.
Mr. Speaker, I am begging everyone in this country who have not yet taken the vaccine, not from a position of weakness, but from a position of concern for the health of this country, to help us reach our goal. We cannot remain closed to the outside world forever. We have to let people come back into our country to help us rebuild.
He also used the opportunity to address the nation and encourage residents not to be dissuaded by fake news.
I think people should not let those spreading misinformation deliberately or inadvertently mislead them. The vaccine is safe. Billions of people have been vaccinated safely. And yes, the vaccine has been approved. Do not listen to the mischief that it is not approved. Do not listen to the mischief that it is some grand experiment. The reality is it is the only real solution we have to regaining some degree of normalcy with open borders while still protecting the health and lives of our people.
On the other side of the floor,
they have now given the country a huge hill to climb.
Radio Cayman's Carsley Fuller reports.
Leader of the opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, agrees that the biggest issue government is facing is the reopening of Cayman's economy and a safe path back for Cayman's tourism, but questions the targets put forward by the new pact government.
In announcing what he called a reopening plan to the Chamber last week, the Premier used a vaccination target of 80%. That after having already revised up the population estimate by some 6,000 people. So, without further information, this looks suspiciously like the means to excuse the delays in setting a realistic target that will take longer to achieve.
Mr. McTaggart says if Cayman isn't able to open up vaccinations to children under 12, the 80% vaccination rate may be, quote, an impossible goal.
With no clear date to open, many people are not going to get motivated to get themselves vaccinated. I hear it all the time. I'm under no rush to go. They don't have a date to reopen. I'll go when they tell me when I have to. That's the one way in which we can really get the numbers up to where we need to get them is when there is a deadline. But in addition to, Mr. Speaker, there are many Caymanians alike who have said quite openly they're not going to take the vaccine.
The leader of the opposition, in his contribution to the SPS debate, told MPs the approach to reopening outlined by the Premier last week does not give the country, quote, the type of plan and confidence that is needed.
At the very best, what it is a list of dates, themselves provisional, with changes to quarantine and vaccination requirements that might come into being. There is no certainty on how thresholds will be achieved or how reopening will be properly planned and implemented. And so, Mr. Speaker, I fear, as I said just now, that the public will likely follow the government's lead and will also wax and wane regarding getting vaccinated.
Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Carsley Fuller.
Another looming issue on the floor of Parliament, gun crime. Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego has more on that.
During Wednesday's strategic policy statement, Premier Honourable Wayne Panton says he is keenly aware that the social ills such as the inequality and the disenfranchisement that has led to a subculture of gun possession and criminality didn't emerge overnight. Premier said government is committed to addressing the, quote, deep-rooted issues as a matter of priority, a sentiment reiterated by Deputy Commissioner of Police Kurt Walton.
There's an insatiable appetite for guns in this country, and that could be for a number of reasons, whether individuals feel they need a gun to protect themselves, to enable a farm-related crime, or to just have it as a way to, I suppose, to boost themselves up, to look the part. But there is that insatiable appetite, perhaps let's go as far as saying unquenchable thirst for firearms in this country by individuals who should not be in possession of firearms.
Before the July 8th shooting incident, police report since January 30 crimes of serious violence. Total violence against a person, 448 incidents. 226 are common assaults, 189 assault ABH. When it comes to curbing gun crime, Mr. Walton says securing our borders, ensuring safe communities, and delivering professional police service remain top priority.
That's going to rely heavily upon intelligence in terms of what is intelligence picture, what is that painting right now? Where does it say that how firearms are coming into the islands? You will see, as far as securing our borders, we've had several successful operations on maritime interdictions.
They're looking into other options in terms of how guns are coming in. Mr. Walton adds they're working closely in collaboration with CBC partners.
We have no manufacturers of guns. There's no individuals here that make guns, so we know that they're coming in from overseas. And so we're looking carefully at how these individuals are being very smart in terms of smuggling guns into the country.
Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Today, Radio Cayman spoke with Commissioner of Police Derek Byrne.
Our people are all aligned, our commanders are all aligned. We know what the level of threat is, and we're ready to take this on and ready to deal with this. We're in the middle of it. You've seen the last few days where we've had people in custody. Those are big players, and we really have to wait and see where that takes us.
The Commissioner reiterated the need for people to continue to come forward with information that will assist police in getting guns off the streets. We'll have more from the Commissioner tomorrow on Radio Cayman News at 6. A prison officer at Her Majesty's Prison Northward is under police investigation after packages of ganja were found on him just after 6 this morning. Royal Cayman Islands police officers attended the prison, and the 40-year-old man of Boddentown arrested on suspicion of possession of ganja with intent to supply and other drug-related offenses. Following the arrest, police officers conducted a search of the man's residence in Boddentown, uncovering an additional quantity of ganja. And some sad news to report tonight. Deputy Governor the Honourable France Manderson Wednesday registered condolences on the passing of former civil servant Nellie McCoy.
Miss Nellie, as she was affectionately known, worked at MRCU for almost 50 years. And that, I think, is a record across our civil service. She was known to, I think, all of us here. She was a joy to work with. Everyone talked about her dedication, her commitment. One of her duties was to count mosquitoes, and at a time when mosquitoes were a lot more than what they are today. But what she was able to do to identify the mosquitoes that were harmful to us has got us to where we are today in our fight to control mosquitoes.
That is your latest local news from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.